the few, the brave. There's nothing out there, right? It's just wet streets, right? My mom said there's some ice in Woodstock, so yeah. Anyway, people came out like en masse last night. We had 500 plus people at the evening mass, which is very rare, and then we had, I think, 25 people this morning at 8 o'clock, and 10:30 had like 60 or 70, and then Spanish mass had almost 100. And what are we now? Did we break 100? No. Oh well. Anyway, prayers for all of those that are negatively affected by the weather. Both the second reading and the gospel speak to us, I think, really in an important way. Paul is saying, I understand there's rivalries among you, saying, I belong to Paul, or I belong to Apollos, I belong to Cephas, I belong to Christ. And he says, is Christ divided? Can Christ be divided? We live in a time of great division, stark division in our world, in our country, whether it be politics, whether it be that's probably the big one, right? But there's all sorts of other smaller things out there as well, within our work, within our school, within whatever our sports and whatnot. But the devil's main tactic is to divide. The devil's main tactic is to scatter and make everybody disagree. And that's something that we have to be very cautious of. As Catholics, we have to say, first and foremost, I belong to Christ. Back in the late 1800s, there was a heresy that Pope Leo XIII named, and it was called Americanism. And it was the idea that we put everything kind of in our country before our faith. And it was kind of a rebuke to this young nation to say, hey, Catholics over there, we know that it's not easy to fit in a largely Protestant nation, but you're loyal first to Christ before anything else. And I think that's important for us to regularly remind ourselves of, recognizing that there's no side that is completely perfect in terms of church teaching, that there is no kind of complete embrace of Catholicism. As Catholics, we have to kind of live with one foot in the world and one foot in the church. And of course, we have to seek to do the best we can. We have to seek to, avoid evil and to do good and to promote the common good. And that gets increasingly more and more difficult. And we want to be loyal to the world, or we want to be loyal to our country, or we want to be loyal to our principles. But we have to first be loyal to Christ. That even if we are like these first apostles who are called, and we're in our boats mending our nets with our fathers, and Jesus comes by and he says, hey, you, follow me. And sometimes I have to drop what I'm doing to follow Christ. Of course, that was their work. They're doing a good thing, right? They're making their livelihood. And Jesus says, stop that, come follow me. I was kind of reflecting yesterday also that sometimes we get so set in our ways, even in our spiritual life, we're almost like robots and we just kind of go through the motions. And sometimes Jesus says, hey, stop that and come follow me, right? Stop the way that you're praying and come follow me and recognize a deeper reality of prayer. Maybe stop the works of mercy that you've been doing for so long and engage in something else. I'm not saying just change things up for the sake of changing things up, but we have to be open. We have to be open to the will of God, that sometimes he does call us to do different things. Sometimes he does call us away from something that we perceive as good. We simply have to be open, and we can't allow for that division. Unfortunately, there's even division, among Catholics, from parish to parish. Like, I go to this parish, and that means something. I go to this parish. Or the people from Buckhead, they're like, I attend the cathedral, Father. Like, okay, yeah, all right. Great. But we have to recognize that as Catholics, as Christians, we cannot be divided. We have to unite ourselves as members of the body of Christ. And sometimes that means sacrificing. Sometimes that means not fixing our nets and just leaving. Sometimes that means doing really hard things. That's what Christianity is about. Sometimes it means getting crucified. I don't want to get crucified. Well, do you want to imitate Christ? I don't want to suffer. Do you want to imitate Christ? He suffered. I don't want to have to do anything too hard. Do you want to imitate Christ? He did a lot of hard things. And we unite ourselves together with that suffering. We unite ourselves together with that hardship. So much so that we look and we say, well, there's bad weather outside, but I'm still going to make every effort to go to Mass because it's important, because it's where I'm united as a member of the body of Christ with Christ and with the other members of the body. And so we pray, beg God that we may continue to allow our hearts to be softened, our eyes to be opened, that we may recognize the goodness of following and doing the will of God, and that we may be ever more united and loyal to Jesus Christ, who is our King.